There is a term that has become widely accepted in our society that is somehow still being celebrated, but I want to call bogus to it today. If you are new to the channel, I release 2 videos every week with tips, tricks, strategies, techniques, all the things you need to help you transform your life and live the best self that you are capable of living. And today, I want to talk about this term that so many people are using and that we somehow have just accommodated for in our day-to-day life, and we got to change that right away. Guilty pleasures. What's going on with accepting that we have this thing, this obsession, this addiction to guilty pleasures? Or even if it's not an acceptance or an addiction, but just a tolerance of guilty pleasures. How often do you hear people say, or maybe you even say yourself, oh yeah, that bottle of wine on a Friday night, that's just one of my guilty pleasures. Oh yeah, a tub of ice cream in front of the TV, that's one of my guilty pleasures. Or, oh yeah, going out every night and do whatever it is for you. Are you saying this? Are you allowing for behavior that is totally not aligned to who you are and your core values and your goals, and you're excusing it with the term guilty pleasures? Or look, guys, maybe it's not you. Maybe it's someone else in your life who is justifying their patterns and their habits, or just those one-off things that happen and you're like, do you know what, that's totally not cool. And they go, oh yeah, it's just one of my guilty pleasures. Right. We gotta stop this. What is a guilty pleasure? Ask yourself this. Why do you feel guilty about this pleasurable thing? Whatever it is, whatever you have referred to as a guilty pleasure, or that person in your life has referred to as a guilty pleasure, and you've got warning signs going off, where's the guilt coming in? Because I'll tell you, more often than not, the guilt is because it is in direct contradiction to either your core values or your short, medium, or long-term goals. So that bag of potato chips is a guilty pleasure. Well, the guilt is because you've actually been trying to lose weight for 5 years. And so you're getting a pleasure from it, but the guilt is because it does not connect with who you actually want to be. So then we got to move on to the second question, which is, why is that giving you pleasure? We got to dig a little bit deep on this. And if you are hearing this and your hackles are raising and you're going, yeah, but I like what I like and it's okay every once in a while and da-da-da. Yeah, there are certain things that we engage in every now and then that, of course, are absolutely fine. Like, I am not saying you should never have ice cream, or you should never have a glass of wine, or you should never stay up late before the night of a presentation, or you should never, whatever it is for you. It's the term guilty pleasure and what it covers up that we need to address. Because when we call something a guilty pleasure, we excuse all of the implications of what that habit or that pattern or that behavior is actually introducing into our lives. So you ask yourself, why is it making me feel guilty? And then you ask yourself, why am I getting pleasure from this thing? Why is it okay in my mind and in my heart to do something that is in contradiction to my core values or my goals? Why is there pleasure there? And that's when we got to start considering the notion of self-sabotage. Because when we are doing something actively that is not beneficial and may, in fact, actually be harming us on some level, even if it feels like an inconsequential level, the question has to be asked, and you need to dig deep, because what you may discover is that that term, guilty pleasure, is actually causing a lot of pain and maybe the reason why you are not moving forward at the speed or the way in which you had hoped you would. The thing I need to make super clear right now, and a common misconception about guilty pleasures, is that they are somehow the same as self-care. I've heard people talk about their alone time or their me time or their deep bubble bath on a Friday night as a guilty pleasure. I've heard people talk about their JOMO, right? Their joy of missing out, as a guilty pleasure. That's mislabeling. That's self-care. And here's where you can make the distinction for yourself. A guilty pleasure, as we talked about, is in direct contradiction or conflict with who you want to be, what your core values are, or what your short, medium, long-term goals are. Self-care is about preserving some core element of you or fueling yourself up so that you can develop the confidence and the resilience that you need to get to those short, medium, long-term goals or to fulfill those core values. So be very careful about the label that you are giving the behaviors that you engage in. Me time is not a guilty pleasure if you're using it to fuel yourself. It's self-care. If you have found this useful today, do make sure you subscribe to the channel and also check out the description box below, because I have a bunch of links there to invite you to some of the incredible free resources that I have put together. Check it out in the description box below. I'll see you again real soon.